All of you gentlemen, we will be coming up in numerical order, starting with Ward 2. I will ask the other two candidates to please step outside of the door for the first question, and as Mr. Carmichael completes his response, we'll bring in the next candidate. Mr. Nichols. Excuse me.
Mic check.
All right. How's it going, everybody? I love that energy. That is great. It's kind of late on a Sunday afternoon, so I appreciate y'all giving me that back.
Okay, so jumping right into it, thank you for coming. We would like to know, what is your role as a city council member?
First and foremost, and it's kind of been echoed a little bit tonight, and we've heard it a lot throughout this race, but the primary responsibility of a city council person is, one, to represent their citizens in the ward, but doing that in a cooperative way, working with the other city council people, the president of the council, and working with the mayor's office to ensure that the needs are met for all citizens in their ward.
Thank you. If I can get a member to go ahead and bring in candidate Clay Carmichael, please.
How you doing, Mr. Clay?
I'm good. How you doing?
My first question is, what are your duties as a city councilman?
The duties are to run the city and to be in charge of the finances, make sure that we have proper codes and laws in place, ordinances in place, and make sure that we have funding for all the departments. Recently, there's been some changes in hiring of department heads, and that's become a council duty. But the main duty is over the finances and the laws, legislation of the laws and ordinances.
All right, thank you so much. Next councilman. Ward 6.
Ward 6, candidate Atkins Jamison. Good afternoon, Mr. Jamison.
Good afternoon.
The question posed is, what is the responsibilities and duties of a council person?
First off, I think it's basically just getting the budget safe with the mayor, the finances, also taking cover in your neighborhood. I mean, the part of your neighborhood that you're in. I'm in Ward 6, and just doing the cleanup, fixing potholes, taking care of abandoned houses, cutting the grass, keeping everything clean, getting people to invest in businesses in your ward, and also be a collective person, getting to know everybody on the council so we can work together as a team to move to the Selma first, to be foremost.
Thank you. Thank you to each of those candidates. And that question is standard, and it was not posed by Facebook Live. That is a standard question that the Coalition of Concerned Families uses at all of its forums. So thank you, gentlemen, for answering those questions. And we're going to go straight to the audience in about 2 minutes.
No, we're actually going to let each. We're going to start out with Landon.
2 minutes.
2 minutes to tell the audience about your platform.
Absolutely. Well, thank you all so much. First of all, thanks to the Coalition of Concerned Families for being willing to host this event. You know, I know we're in the midst of a coronavirus pandemic and voters have not had that many opportunities to hear directly from candidates, and so it's so critical that y'all did this, and we are so grateful. So, who am I? I'm Landon Nichols. I was born and raised in Selma. I'm from right here in town. My mom brought me home from the hospital to Pecan Drive. I've been part of Ward 2 most of my entire life. These days, I call Dixie Drive home over in the Merrimack Heights community, and I'm focused on 5 primary things. I'm focused on safer neighborhoods, on good infrastructure, on God's healing grace, on responsible budgets, and on ensuring that every citizen has the opportunity to get engaged in the civic commons and to show up and to be involved and to make opportunities so that citizens can be involved in their government. Thank you.
Testing. Is it working?
Candidate Carmichael.
It was off. Testing. There it is. First of all, I want to say happy birthday to my daughter, Emmylou. Platform. So the main thing I think is we got to work together, and that's what I've been running on since the start. And that means working with the other council members, working with the mayor, making sure that we don't let personal agendas or grievances or grudges get in the way of city business. And city business being that we need to get back to the basics because we've been going negative for so many years. And at this point, we just need to bring it back up to ground level, ground zero. You know, public works, public safety, and finances. You got to have the finances straight to get the other things straight. So once we get the finances straight, once we can work together, agree on some priorities for the city, hopefully those being the main priorities outlined in the state constitution of what a municipality needs to do for the citizens, and make sure the streets are safe and people are safe, and make sure that the city's beautified and well taken care of.
Thank you. Candidate Jamison.
Yes, want to say how y'all doing tonight. Thank God for being here. And my platform for running for city council is basically to take care of the people. I mean, to just find out what we need to do for us to finances and the budgets with the mayor. Continue to learn people. There's going to be some new faces coming in. Hope I'll be one of them. And then communicate with each other and set an agenda for what we need to do. And the thing about it, in the 6th Ward, there's a lot of things that are going on that we need to get straight. And based on what I've been seeing and how I've been acknowledging things, it's the little simple things that need to get done, but it can get done. So I'm focusing my first year on what I need to do and the simple things that need to get done, the people that have been complaining about the most. And then we all know what that is. I think everybody probably has in their ward. You know, it's the garbage, the trash on the sidewalks, and the cleanups, and the trees and the grass growing around the abandoned houses need to be torn down. And my agenda is to come in this first year in the 6th Ward and clean up. And I believe, and my mom used to tell me all the time, cleaning is next to godliness, and that's what I'm basing my platform on, is to clean up first. If I clean my house up, then people are going to want to come in and invest with us, and that's what I plan on doing, so we can get these investments and build our ward back up to a strong product for Selma to help us move forward.
Clay Carmichael, my first question for you, in your ward, what do you see is something that you need to start on fixing or moving forward to better your ward?
Probably the first and most direct fix is the garbage. Seems like the easiest thing to fix, and that it affects every ward. It affects the whole city of Selma, to me it's pretty simple. In my opinion, now it's going to depend on what the rest of the council members want to do, but we gotta make sure every house has a garbage can. And if everybody has a garbage can, they're not gonna wanna load their garbage up in their truck, put it on top of their car, and take it down the street and put it in somebody else's yard. And again, going to what Mr. Jamison said, the cleanliness is going to attract people to Selma, and it's gonna make sure that we do have clean streets and clean neighborhoods.
To candidate Landon Nichols, what plans do you have to increase the tourism budget in the city of Selma?
I'm so glad you asked. So part of my professional experience, when I graduated from the University of Alabama with a Master of Public Administration, I came back home to work for the Chamber of Commerce as the Destination Marketing Coordinator. One of the first frustrations I came up against when coming back to Selma was when I realized that unlike almost every other municipality that has a lodgings tax, Selma does not invest its lodgings tax into bringing in more tourists. That in and of itself seems so counterintuitive to me. If we want to increase visitors to the city of Selma, if we want to bring more people here, we need to be marketing to bring more people here. And we need to be investing the money that's being generated by the people spending the night here into bringing more people here. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy, and if we can start to build that budget, man, we can do some incredible things. But it's also low-hanging fruit. You know, Lydia was talking about a couple of options that we can do for tourism and some brilliant ideas. We were talking about wayfinding signage, and that's such an important part of developing our tourist infrastructure in Selma. There's also some low-hanging fruit that we can start on immediately. We can make sure, I realize that I have my mask on again. We can make sure that we have adequate bus parking on Broad Street. So there's a parking lot there right beside the Welcome Center, but the curb cut is not wide enough for buses to turn in off of Broad. If we can get the buses to turn in, all we have to do is widen that curb cut and hang a sign that says bus parking. That alone will have all of those folks on the buses walking the block between the bus parking and the bridge, giving them an opportunity to spend a couple additional dollars in Selma. Also, low-hanging fruit, why have we not marked the trail, the actual literal path from Brown Chapel to the foot of the Evan Pettis Bridge? I mean, it is Instagram gold. We would have kids from around the country coming to take pictures just of that. I mean, of course they want to learn about our incredible history and about how we overcame injustice and Jim Crow here in Selma, but the kids love Instagram.
All right, thank you.
Not more.
Council Jamison, what do you have a 90-day plan set for your ward, for Ward 6? And if so, what is it?
Well, good question, and you're gonna get a great answer. My 90-day plan is based on cleaning up, you know, and that's what I'm performing to do, put my first foot forward and achieving that goal. If I can do that in some of it in 90 days and complete my year standard as what I'm setting my goals for to clean up, I mean, the citizens in Selma also will be proud, and I know my 6th Ward citizens gonna be proud of what they setting up for, because it used to be that way. And I know we can't go back to it used to be because it don't make honey, but at the same time, we can make it better. And better it's better than it used to be. Because now we got some more ideas, we creative, we're gonna perform at a higher level. We got people who are enthused about doing it because they don't wanna see it this way. And that makes it better for the citizens to have access to the roads, access to the alleyways, have access to seeing what's behind their house and the abandoned trees down on the abandoned houses. I mean, that's the 90-day program that I'm setting forward, which I know is gonna take a whole year to do.
Thank you. This next question will be for all 3 candidates, and we will go in numerical order to respond. How do you plan to involve citizens in the decision-making process?
Jasmine, thank you so much for that question. That is so, and it also gives me an opportunity to mention, take my mask off again. So just this last week on my website, I launched my 25-point plan for Selma. And I certainly don't claim credit for everything on that list because it has been community sourced and crowdsourced. I've had conversations with folks from the neighborhoods across my ward, folks that are leaders in industry and in healthcare and other areas around town. And so we put together a plan that we think is practical and is pragmatic. And that working together with the president of the council, fellow council people, and the mayor's office, that I really think we can get done. And so, as part of that plan, the final plank of it is civic engagement. And when I talk about getting citizens involved, it's not just words on a page to me. I really think it's important for the civic health of our community that people have the opportunity to engage. And so as part of that, I really want to start, and it's a simple thing, but I think it's an important thing. I want to start a monthly newsletter for the citizens of Ward 2 that they can subscribe to. That way we can let them know what's coming up on the council agenda, what's going on in town, and give them a direct avenue to give feedback. But beyond that, we also need a quarterly ward meeting in Ward 2. In Ward 2, we have not had consistent ward meetings, and that is fundamental for giving citizens an opportunity to have their voices heard and to show up. And I would like to make sure that we start a newsletter immediately, a monthly newsletter, and start quarterly ward meetings.
I will, a few things that I'll try to do. I tell my daughter not to make promises about the future. You can only promise about the past, so I can't promise I'll do any of this, but I'm gonna try. Continue walking the ward, talking to people on a regular basis, having meetings, keeping my number out there. I've given everybody in the ward my number, and I'll say it now, 334-410-0582. You know, just having that, being available, being open, including other people's ideas and what we need to do. You know, keeping social media accounts open, being transparent about what we have coming up in the future. There are some things that we have to keep closed, but for the most part, things that are that the people need to know, or if I need to get an opinion from the people to move forward on something, then I think it's important to make sure that these things are open and available to the public. You know, speaking of transparency, I will work with the council and the mayor to hopefully get the website up and going and be up to date with minutes, financial statements, all the things that all the other cities have that we don't seem to have. And so, yeah, just trying to keep myself available and open.
Well, it started off, 90% of my people in Ward 6 already know me, know of me through family. The other 10% probably know of me through the 90% that know me. So we're gonna solve that down to saying everybody in Ward 6 know Atkins Jamison. And what we're gonna do is since the age of this generation is basically technology. So I know my older people, my elderly people don't know, might not know too much about the Facebook and the Instagram and the technology, the advanced technology that's going on. So I expect me to get around to them people and basically give them my phone number. And anytime they need my support, anytime they need to call me about anything that's going on, I want to be available. If I had to jump out of bed at 3 o'clock in the morning to go see what's going on, hey, there ain't nothing, I'm a young guy, I can move. And at the same time, to get my younger people involved, they clean up and everything, because we have to pay homage to people that laid the groundwork for us. And a lot of people in the 6th Ward laid the groundwork, you know, going fighting on that bridge for us to get a chance to vote, for me to be sitting in this chair right here, to be able to run for city council. I never had it in my goal to be a city council person, but hey, you know, with me looking at my community for the last 15, 20 years, you know, something need to change. And I said, hey, who a better person to do it besides me, who know everybody and who know what need to get done. So that's how I look at that getting together with the citizens and expecting things to happen. So I'm gonna reach out to my younger generation so we can clean up our ward and we can make our older people, our elderly people happy for what they have accomplished and what they had set a goal in mind for what we need to be doing.
Awesome, gentlemen. This question will be for each one of you. What educational opportunities have you all taken to ensure that you are prepared for the role as a council member?
Numerical again? my educational background really lays the foundation for why I want to run for city council. I had the opportunity, after my undergraduate degree at the University of Alabama, I was blessed to get a grad assistantship. And quite frankly, it is the only way I was able to go to grad school because it paid my tuition. And it allowed me to get a Master of Public Administration. And as part of my MPA coursework, we talked about public personnel, budget management, all the different theories undergirding public budgeting, and there are many. Talked about the policy process. And so through my MPA, I got the opportunity to be really immersed in the academic underpinnings of government and of public administration. And then I got out and got to live them. So when I came back to Selma, was involved in the community, was involved at the chamber, and had been involved in a ton of organizations, and got to see how policy works, how it affects people's lives, and how when we're enacting policy, we have to be really careful to think about the unintended consequences of that policy, because it's going to apply to everyone, and everyone's in a different situation. So we have to be really, really thoughtful and intentional when we're crafting that policy about anticipating those unintended consequences and writing the policy to achieve the goal that we're trying to without hurting anyone in the process. And that's a delicate process, but I'm excited at the potential to engage in that process with so many great leaders here in Selma. But beyond that, I've also taken opportunities to work in and go to conferences and workshops and leadership training. So one of my favorites was Your Town, Alabama. It's a design workshop that helps you envision the future of your community. Got to participate in the Alabama-Mississippi Rural Tourism Conference. You know, rural tourism has a different flavor than urban tourism, and it's important that we know the niche that we fit into and that we work to recruit people who can come here and who can spend their money here. And all the opportunities like that, just taking all the opportunities to go to continuing education, and I especially look forward, if it be in God's will that I can be elected on October 6th, and I sure hope you'll come to the polls and help me reach that goal. But I would really like to work with the League of Municipalities to take advantage of their continuing education and to get certified and to be a certified municipal leader, knowing everything that we need to know about running a city. Because anyone that tells you that they know it all is lying to you, and they shouldn't do that. And I'll be the first to admit, there is so much in this world that I don't know, but I'm absolutely open to continuing to be a lifelong learner.
Education-wise, I think probably the most education I get is from being involved and attending council meetings. I've been doing that regularly for about 10 years. And if I have questions, I reach out to council people and ask them the details on it, how that works, who's involved in that decision-making process. To further education, I've worked with a few nonprofits in recent years and gone to conferences, Main Street conferences that I've gone to have taught me about downtowns and how a Main Street organization is like a public-private partnership, and so it involves working with the government. And at these conferences, there were government people and business people and Main Street people, or Main Streeters as they call them, and having those connections and being able to ask the questions and get the answers, seeing how it's done in other cities, and knowing that we can do the same thing here. Another opportunity that I plan to take advantage of is the University of Alabama classes on budgeting and municipal government, their online classes now because of COVID-19. I have not signed up for those because I didn't want to until I got elected. And business experience, board experience, I think those are places where you learn. You learn how to deal with budgets. You learn how to deal with operations. You learn how to make things more efficient so you can thrive. And I think those experiences are as valuable as any education I've gotten.
Well, I graduated from Selma High in '89 where I was well taught. And went out to Wallace and completed my 2-year degree associate. I was well taught. And also I got a 4-year degree from Faulkner, where I was well taught. And during the process of all that, I was learning the things that I need to know for us, how to talk to people, how to associate my ideas with other people, how to be more understandable, how to put other people's objectives in front of mine sometimes, you know. So, and then also the diverse of it is that Selma High was from the 86, 89, I was going there, you know, we was outnumbered by the white kids, as I was telling Mr. Carmichael earlier, 60-40. So, I mean, the diverse of it, me knowing that how to understand other people's ideals is how we gonna have to form, how you form your education, rather, you know. You have to know what other people think and how they do things in order for you to get ideas about what you need to do sometime. Because everything that you do ain't right, you know. So you have to learn from other people, from what they know and their talents and their skills, because you might be good in math and I might be good in English. So you can count for me and I can speak for you, you know, and that's how you do things. You know, you have to learn each other on a perspective level like that, because the kids that coming up now, you know, they have to be more diverse their own self, you know. They have to educate themselves at home, you know, and think about it. I mean, the school system is greatly appreciated, but a lot of things you have to learn from your parents, you got to learn from other people, you got to learn from home, and that's how we educate these kids. We got to keep them moving forward and let them know that, hey, it's cool to be a smart kid, you know, and ain't nothing wrong with that, you know. Just to be in a crowd around people that don't want to learn nothing, you're in the wrong crowd, you know. So get with the people that want to learn something, and also the ones that want to learn nothing. You could be a greater influence on them because they look at you and say, oh, he cool, man, but he's still smart. Yeah, I can be like that too. Okay, that's where we're going to do things, and that's for the younger generation, you know. And I might not be through with school myself. I might go and get my master's degree because I like learning, you know. That's my skill plate.
Thank you. This question is to Mr. Jamison. We know that Ward 6 is the recipient of a Weed and Seed grant, whereas the community members have been a witness to the actual weed part of that program. What would be the next phase of seed during your administration if elected as a city council?
Well, I have to get with the people who started the program, who interacted it, you know. We communicated and find out what the suggestions is on how to get to the next level, the next phase of it. Because if it was a continuing process and it was doing great things, I don't want to stop it. I want to continue with it, and I want to move forward with it, you know, and learn what we need to do. Learn what I need to do as a council person to achieve these goals, you know, that if it was a good process in play. So that's how I would like to adjust that, you know, by me not knowing who started it. So let me find out who started it, since you brought this question up, and I appreciate it. Now that put some on my agenda to find out tomorrow, you know, so we can move forward with that grant process.
This question will be for Councilman Carmichael. If elected, what steps would you take to put safety first in your ward and the citizens?
Safety means a lot of things. So, you know, we have public safety departments and the police and fire departments. We can look at them, and we all know they need to be built up. We need to get them better pay, better education, better equipment. The court system falls on public safety. If you can't, you know, make sure that there's some follow through on these broken laws, then it doesn't really go anywhere. We've got to build up the magistrate's office, get all that, get the collections down. Garbage is a safety issue. Sinkholes in the streets are a safety issue. I told y'all what I'd like to do with garbage. The sinkholes, we got to map that out, the drainage. I know Hog Engineering has a map of all that. and put in place, we got to look at plans for 25 years and see how we're going to get these things fixed. It's a 200-year-old city, and you can't fix it in a couple of years. It's going to take a while, but we can get the plans in place. Abandoned homes, huge safety issues, catching fire, and falling in. There's just that pretty much sums up all the safety issues, but you can see how vast that is and how important it is for Selma to be a safe place to live if we want people to move here and we want businesses to come here and create jobs. So I do think that should be a top priority. It should be a top priority of most of the council people and the mayor. So hopefully we can work together and try to figure out a way we can solve these issues.
Okay, this question is for candidate Nichols. If you received $1 million grant to use for the city any way you want it, what would you do with it and why?
You're really gonna give me a blank check? No, there are a lot of state and federal grant funds and funding streams that we can be pulling down. And I'm glad you mentioned grant funding. I'll get to the magic wand in just a second. But over the past 4 years and in years before that, different council people and sometimes the mayor's office has decided to take stopgap measures. Fill the one pothole instead of saving that money and investing it to bring down federal funds to repave the whole street. And Clay's right, our infrastructure isn't going to be fixed overnight. We've got to start laying the groundwork and laying the financing in place to ensure that we can, over time, redevelop the infrastructure throughout the city. And that is paramount. But if I got a grant for $1 million and I could spend it on anything I'd want to, we have so many needs, y'all. But I think the place that I would put the money would have to be downtown for sure, and would have to be along the riverfront. There's so much riverfront development that has happened already, but we've hit a standstill in many ways. And I think right now we are not leveraging our assets along the riverfront like we could be. And this ties into tourism, it ties into economic development, and it ties into quality of life for the people that are living here and the people that we want to recruit to live here. If the riverfront's not functional, and if it's not accessible, it doesn't serve us. And right now we have so many pieces of the puzzle at the riverfront that could draw people and hold people and be a driver for downtown and keep people downtown. But as long as we have chain link fence up around it, and as long as we have pieces of the puzzle that are not connected, as long as we don't have public restrooms, we're not going to be able to utilize it. And so I think if I got a grant for $1 million to spend however I wanted, I would put it there so that we could start developing the riverfront and build out.
If elected, Councilman Jamison, what have you done in your ward for the citizens to consider you as a ward leader?
Okay, first of all, I have went door to door and let people know and talk to people on a visual level, besides standing behind a microphone like I am now and telling them who I am. I have went door to door. I've been talking to people on a daily basis. It's what I do all the time. It's not like I don't shy away from my people. I go and see them, and we talk, and they be happy to see me. And some of them say, hey, you're the first person who came around here and spoke to me. Since I don't even know who the city council person is, or who been the city council person, because they not involved in it, because they don't. Some people just don't involve people in the citizenships of things around here. But I'm not that person. I'm gonna be front hand with them, and they know that when we get through talking with each other, they gonna know my sense of purpose. And it's strictly just to get the community back in hands play, because like I said, the elderly people, they pay the way for me to be in front of them, and I want to be their voice for a long time, and however I need to do that, that's how I'm gonna get it done. And that was the people that I'm gonna pay homage to, because like I said, I'm standing right here, I'm sitting right here in front of the people now, and letting them know that, hey, I want to be your leader. This is nothing that I want to be out there doing for my health or playing no game. This is for real. This is all about business. This is all about the people and the citizens of 6th Ward. I am a leader, and I want to be your leader, and I want to be your voice and continue with it.
Okay, I couldn't read that one, but I think. I'm assuming this may be pertaining to the bridge. What about the, let me see that. Let me go to another question, I'm sorry. Mr. Carmichael, what would you do to increase the security for citizens who work during the day?
I'd work with the council and try to get the finances straight so that we can properly fund the police department and have enough officers on the streets. I think we're maybe around 35 right now, and we probably need 65. I've mentioned an idea a couple of times. You know, people ask where the money's going to come from, and I've mentioned a couple of times, you know, I think we have funds allocated for 65 officers, but we never get over 50. So why not take the other 15 officers that we're allocating funds for every year and put it into 50, and that'll increase the pay. Maybe we can attract more officers that way, you know, anything like that. But ultimately, it comes to what are their ideas, and what are their ideas on how we can do this. Do we want to do this? Do we need to sit down and have a long conversation about where we allocate these funds? If public safety and security for people is one of our top priorities, then we need to work together to solve that issue.
Thank you for that answer, sir. This will be for each one of you. Are you all active citizens in Selma?
Absolutely. I've been an active citizen in Selma literally since high school. I was involved in the Youth Ambassador Program when a group of us traveled on a bus all the way from here to Washington, D.C. together. We came back and brought ideas that we got in D.C. and relationships that we made on that trip right back to Selma. I was involved in youth leadership. I've been involved since I came back from college and have been in Selma. I stay involved in my community because, like I mentioned earlier, I think civic health is an important part of physical health. I think it's an important part of us as individuals, but it's also important for our community. Because when our community has everyone at the table, everyone civically engaged, it has more potential for opportunity. It has more potential to make money. It is unbelievable, the research that is out there on the tangible effects of having a civically engaged community. And so I try to always practice what I preach. I try to show up to vote, I try to show up at public meetings, and I try to show up whenever I can, because I think being civically engaged is fundamental to being a citizen.
I think active is a good way to describe me. I don't really stop until I lay down, and that's usually late at night after I got the kids down. I spend my whole day, you know, either contemplating on how we can improve as a community through, you know, events or cleanup days, or just anywhere. How I can improve myself so that I can help improve the community. I think that's the most important thing we got to do. You know, a bunch of people complain about Selma and what it is, and we need to be the change that we want to see in Selma. So, you know, if I see an issue that I think I can help with, I'm active about getting out and fixing that issue. And That comes from when I was young, probably. My dad used to get me out cutting elderly neighbors' grass. I was in the Boy Scouts, grew up in that. And when I moved back here 10 years ago, I started Black Belt Benefit Group, a completely volunteer organization, and we've been active, very active in Selma, and they're still active. I've taken a step back from that so I can activate this campaign, and I just hope that I can get in office and be a driving force to improve Selma, and really put some action in place, because I think we've had a lot of planning over the years, and where we've faltered is that we didn't put those plans into action, and that's one of the reasons I'm running, because I think I can help do that, and you know, even if that means me getting out and doing something myself, I'm willing to do that.
Well, I want to say that what makes me active is because I'm alive, and I thank God, and I'm a productive person. And what I do is I talk to guys, you know, there's individual guys, sometimes in groups of guys, because there's nowhere in the 6th Ward I can't go that I don't go, because I'm welcome everywhere I go. So I can talk to the younger kids that may be up for a crime objective, or may be up for some ruthless potential, anything, and it be sometimes it be that just that voice just to say, hey man, you sure right, man, it ain't worth it, you know, and that makes me proud just to say that my activeness of that situation calms down a lot of things that can be avoided, you know, and further that crime rate, and that's what we need to be active at, because we don't need no more people going to jail, no more people dying. We don't need this in our neighborhoods and for the city of Selma. And basically, that's what make everything what makes you active is that you can get around in your community and speak amongst the people that need your help. You know, don't shy away from them. Don't run from them. I don't see you. No, that's not me. I can go anywhere in my ward and be active. And for the cleaning up process, you know, I'm not so cheesy where I can just do this kind of stuff and then my citizen be like, oh, you just not coming around because you want to be elected. No, that's not me, you know. But once I am elected, you'll see the cleanliness that I have involved for this first year plan. And you'd be like, okay, he was strictly business. It wasn't nothing playful about him, you know. And that's what I want my people to see. That's what makes me so active in my community. I'm able to go anywhere in my community and talk to the people, for us the elderly people, for us the younger generation, and the middle-aged people of my age, you know. So that's how I want to treat myself as being active, is to just go around in my neighborhood and stay active, you know, not do it and just stop, you know. I want this to be a continuation version, and I want to bring some other people involved into it to be active along with me, because I know I can't do it. We're gonna take a we job.
Testing 1, 2, 3. I'll take Atkinson's. I'll take it. Thank you. All right, so let's give it up for Landon Nichols, Clay Carmichael, and Atkin Jamison. Gentlemen, please stand in place. We want to say thank you to all three of you all for counting it joy, because y'all were so joyful. Counting it joy to come talk to the citizens one more time. You all are the least covered. This election cycle, the council members were the least covered. And I cannot tell citizens how important it is to get information on the Selma City Council members. So I want to say thank you all for accepting the invitation, saying yes to the invitation, and coming to talk candidly to the citizens of Selma, who you are seeking their vote. You are asking for their votes, and so you sat before them and you shared your information. Now, those of you all who are in the audience, you know what's about to happen. I'm about to come in the audience and we're gonna do some post interviews on Landon, Clay, and Atkin in just a minute. I'm Miss Kiara Thomas. You'll probably be the first up, so get ready to come before the camera. Those of you who are still here, please take a sheet of paper, write some notes to Landon and Clay and Akin. Write them some notes, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent. You gotta critique something. They said something you don't like. They said something you loved. Write it down, put their names on the back, and we'll make sure that they get every single comment that you make. Again, gentlemen, we appreciate you all, but hey, the street lights about to pop on. We want everybody to get home before dark. Not that the streets are not safe, because Chief Kenta Fulford has it going on out here in these Selma streets. I must give him and the SPD their props for the new thing that they're doing in Selma, Alabama. Thank you, Police Department. Now I want to give a shout out to Mr. Terry Chestnut and the Cool Jazz Cafe. Now listen to me good. Now I thought that was Terry playing all the jazz music, right? Because Terry has every piece of jazz that you can imagine, right? I used to work for his dad, and his dad had a jazz hall. So I said, Terry, that sounds so good, keep it playing. He was like, that's not me. Boom, it was DJ Ali. Terry was like, let it play, I like it, it sounds good. So every time, the last time DJ Ali was here, we had another local DJ here, and they shared the platform. I love this DJ Love. DJ Ali did my 50th birthday jam, and that's where I met him in person at, and he just keeps popping up in Selma. So you are now an honorary member, sir. Mr. Chestnut, thank you for acquiescing to our out-of-town DJ over here. Mr. Chestnut is an international DJ, for those of you who all don't know. He plays on international waters. So thank you again to Lit Visions, Eric Nettles and Lit Visions over here. Ernest, raise your hand. Turn your name. Ashley, raise your hand. Tell me your name, handsome man. Quan, raise your hand. And the magnificent DJ Ali. Eric, thank you so much for this production. If you go on Facebook Live, you'll see everybody's giving accolades. So thank you for partnering with us to make this an A1 professional production. We do appreciate it. And hey, you are now an honorary member of Selma, Alabama. He's right up the road in Montgomery. Hey, y'all call him. He's right up the road in Montgomery. So you all go ahead and mingle. We're about to interview concerning your interviews. Thank you all. And to Miss Jasmine Pritchett, our other moderator. Jasmine always does a good job. Thank you, Jasmine Pritchett. Thank you, DeMario Benjamin, our tech guy. Thank you, Renata White, our secretary that walks the floor. And thank you to Councilwoman Maya Jackson, Miss Lydia Chapman, Mr. Landon Nichols, Mr. Clay Carmichael, who's baby had a birthday, and Mr. Akin Jamison. Thank you also to Mr. David Blackman. He is still here. And it will be on YouTube, right, David? He will put it on YouTube. That way you can watch it over and over and over again. And to you in the audience, thank you so much. Miss Kiara Thomas is running for me. Where did she go?
I meant to say something.